You think civilization collapses like in movies, explosions, sirens, instant chaos. But listen carefully, because the real danger doesn't start with bombs or blackouts. It starts with the way your brain lies to you. The first mistake humans make when civilization collapses is assuming they'll figure it out when it happens. That confidence feels comforting, almost heroic, but it's deadly. In real collapses, wars, blackouts, famines, disasters, people don't rise to the occasion. They fall to their level of preparation. Your brain, under stress, loses its ability to plan, calculate risk, and imagine long-term consequences. Cortisol floods your system, narrowing your attention to the next hour instead of the next week. That's why most people waste precious time waiting for normal to return, scrolling dead phones, listening for announcements that will never come, instead of acting when action still matters. The second mistake follows immediately after. People stay where they are far too long. Humans are creatures of familiarity. Your home feels safe, even when it's not. In a collapse, cities become heat maps of danger, not because people are evil, but because density turns scarcity into violence. When power goes out, water pressure fails within hours. Elevators stop. Sewage backs up. Food spoils. And millions of people suddenly realize they're competing for the same shrinking resources. The physics of crowds doesn't care about your intentions. When supply chains break, urban areas experience exponential stress, not linear stress. Staying put feels rational, but it traps you inside a pressure cooker that will eventually burst. Then comes the third mistake, and this one is subtle. People hoard the wrong things. But only days without water, and even clean-looking water can quietly kill you through pathogens you can't see. Dehydration doesn't announce itself dramatically, it erodes judgment first. Survival science shows that cognitive performance drops sharply before physical collapse. Which means people often make fatal decisions before they even realize they're compromised. This is why experienced survivalists prioritize water acquisition, purification, and rationing above almost everything else. This section is based on practical field survival experience rather than formal academic sources. The fourth mistake is trusting strength instead of systems. People believe being physically strong, aggressive, or armed will keep them safe. But collapse environments punish lone wolves. Your muscles burn calories you can't easily replace. Injuries that are minor today become infections tomorrow. Real survival favors redundancy, efficiency, and cooperation, even limited, temporary cooperation. From a biological perspective, humans evolved to survive scarcity in groups, sharing risk and workload. That's why isolated individuals statistically fare worse during prolonged crises. Strength fades. Systems endure. The fifth mistake is ignoring sleep and stress until it's too late. In collapses, people stay awake, just in case, guarding, worrying, scanning the dark. But sleep deprivation is not just fatigue, it's neurological impairment. After 24 hours without sleep, your reaction time and decision-making resemble intoxication. After 48, hallucinations begin. In survival psychology, sleep is not a luxury, it's armor. Those who manage stress, rotate watch duties, and protect rest survive longer than those who burn themselves out trying to stay alert every second. Another devastating error is underestimating how fast morality shifts. People assume social rules will hold because they always have. But morality is partially enforced by systems, law, abundance, accountability. When those systems vanish, behavior changes faster than most people expect, including their own. Looting isn't driven purely by malice, it's driven by fear, hunger, and the belief that consequences no longer exist. Understanding this doesn't make you cynical, it makes you realistic. Survival requires reading human behavior the way you read weather patterns. If you ignore it, you walk into storms unprepared. The final mistake is the most dangerous of all, believing collapse is a single event instead of a process. People prepare for the moment everything ends, instead of the long, grinding decline that actually happens. Power flickers on and off. Aid arrives late or unevenly. Rules apply sometimes, then don't. This uncertainty exhausts people psychologically. Those who survive learn to adapt rhythmically, conserving energy during calm periods, acting decisively during windows of opportunity, and never assuming stability is permanent. Survival science shows that adaptability, not toughness, is the trait most strongly correlated with long-term endurance. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody likes to hear: most humans don't fail because they're weak. They fail because their instincts were built for a world that no longer exists. Civilization trained you to be efficient inside systems, not resilient outside them. Once you understand that, collapse stops being a horror movie and starts looking like a brutal exam, one you can actually study for. Once you understand that collapse is a process, not a moment, another mistake becomes painfully clear: people waste energy trying to preserve their old identity instead of building a new one. They cling to job titles, social status, routines that no longer serve any purpose. In survival situations, identity is not who you were, it's what you can do right now. Biology doesn't care if you were respected yesterday. Physics doesn't care if you were wealthy. Calories, water, shelter, heat, and safety operate on strict rules. The faster someone accepts this mental reset, the faster they adapt. The ones who don't, they burn time and resources trying to recreate comfort instead of securing survival. There's also a dangerous misunderstanding about danger itself. Most people imagine threats as dramatic and obvious, armed looters, explosions, fires. But statistically, during collapse scenarios, the deadliest threats are boring ones: infection, contaminated water, untreated wounds, hypothermia, heat exhaustion. A small cut becomes lethal without antibiotics. Wet clothes steal body heat faster than hunger ever could. The human body is a chemical machine that needs balance, and collapse quietly removes that balance piece by piece. Survival science teaches that managing small problems early prevents catastrophic failure later, but panic pushes people to focus on visible threats while invisible ones destroy them from the inside. Another common failure is misjudging time. People overestimate how much time they have and underestimate how fast conditions degrade. Food doesn't disappear overnight, it disappears aisle by aisle. Security doesn't collapse instantly, it erodes neighborhood by neighborhood. By the time danger feels undeniable, options have already narrowed. In military and disaster planning, this is called the decision window, and it always closes sooner than expected. The survivors aren't the ones who wait for certainty. They're the ones who move during uncertainty. Then there's the mistake of overexposure. Humans are curious by nature, and curiosity kills more people during collapse than ignorance. People go out just to check, just to see what's happening, just to gather information. Every unnecessary movement increases risk, injury, confrontation, exhaustion, disease. In real survival environments, movement is expensive. Calories spent walking are calories you can't eat. Noise attracts attention. Visibility invites interaction. Experienced survivors treat movement like money, only spend it when the return is worth the cost. This section is based on practical field survival experience rather than formal academic sources. Point 1: of the darkest mistakes is assuming help will arrive in a fair and orderly way. When it comes, is uneven, delayed, and political. It flows toward infrastructure, not individuals. Toward visible areas, not hidden ones. Toward groups that can organize, not lone people hoping to be noticed. Waiting passively for rescue often means waiting until you're already too weak to benefit from it. Survival planning isn't about rejecting help, it's about being functional without it long enough to matter. People also underestimate how quickly information becomes dangerous. In collapse, rumors spread faster than facts. One false warning can empty a neighborhood. One exaggerated threat can trigger violence. The human brain is wired to prioritize alarming information, especially under stress. This creates feedback loops of fear where bad decisions multiply. Survivors learn to verify through patterns, not headlines. They observe behavior, supply movement, silence where there used to be noise. Reading the environment becomes more valuable than consuming information. Perhaps the most tragic mistake is the refusal to practice discomfort before it's forced upon you. Cold showers, fasting, manual labor, navigating without GPS, these aren't macho challenges, they're neurological training. They teach your brain that discomfort is survivable. When collapse removes comfort suddenly, untrained minds panic. Trained minds adapt. Studies in stress inoculation show that controlled exposure to hardship increases performance under real stress. Survival is as much mental conditioning as physical preparation. As days turn into weeks, another failure emerges. People stop planning entirely. They live moment to moment, reacting instead of anticipating. This feels logical when resources are low, but it's a trap. Even simple planning, tomorrow's water, tonight's temperature, next week's calories, dramatically increases survival odds. The human brain needs a future, even a small one, to function properly. Without it, motivation collapses before the body does. And here's the quiet truth that ties everything together: collapse doesn't create new human behavior. It reveals it. Fear, cooperation, selfishness, creativity, they were always there. Those who survive aren't morally superior or physically unstoppable. They're people who understood reality early, adjusted their behavior fast, conserved energy, protected their minds, and respected the brutal simplicity of survival rules. Civilization taught you to outsource resilience. Collapse demands you reclaim it.